covered in grease, even sleeping in his workshop, until producing a result deemed acceptable. Mr. Honda never stopped believing he could produce these results. He even went as far as pawning his wife's jewelry to stay in business. When he finally completed the piston rings and presented them to Toyota, Toyota rejected his piston rings as they didn't reach their standards. Sent back to school for 2 years, where people laughed and mocked Mr. Honda, students and teachers both. Rather than focusing on the pain of the experience, Honda decided to remain focused on his goals, and finally, after 2 more years, Toyota gave Mr. Honda the contract he dreamed of. Honda's passion and belief had finally paid off, all because Mr. Honda had known what he really wanted and took action, noticed what was working and kept changing his process and approach until he got the results that he wanted. That wasn't the end of Mr. Honda's problems, though. A new problem arose as the Japanese government was gearing up for a war. The Japanese government refused Mr. Honda the request for more concrete that was needed to build his factory. But Mr. Honda didn't quit there. He didn't focus on how unfair it was, didn't cry in assumption that this meant his dreams had died. Instead, he decided to utilize this experience and develop another strategy. He and his team invented a new process for creating concrete and then built a factory during the war. Shortly after, though, the factories bombed twice, destroying major portions of the manufacturing facilities. What was Honda's response? He rallied his team and quickly gathered the extra gasoline cans that the U.S. fighters had discarded. He called them gifts from President Truman because they provided him with the raw materials he needed for his manufacturing process. After all of that, an earthquake hit, which leveled his factory. Honda decided that this is a man who clearly made powerful decisions to succeed. He had passion for what he believed in and what he was working towards. He had great strategy, took massive action, and kept changing his approach until he produced the results that he was determined to achieve. After the war, a tremendous gasoline shortage hit Japan. Fed up with the fact that he couldn't even drive his car to get food for his family, in desperation, Mr. Honda attached a small motor to his bike. Next thing he knew, his neighbors were asking him if he could make one of his motorized bikes for them. One after another begged for one of his bikes, up until he ran out of motors. It was then he decided to build a plan that would manufacture motors for his new invention, which formed yet another obstacle for Mr. Honda. He didn't have the capital. Once again, through determination and belief in what he was creating, Mr. Honda made a decision to find another way to make this happen. Ultimately finding his solution by appealing to the 18,000 bicycle shop owners in Japan by writing them each a personal letter, telling them how they could each play a role in the revitalization of Japan through the mobility which his invention could provide. 5,000 out of the 18,000 bike shops gave Mr. Honda an advance, creating the capital he needed. Even still, he ran into some problems. His motorbike sold to only the most hardcore bike fans because they were too big and bulky for your average Joe. So what did Mr. Honda do? He made one final adjustment, creating a much lighter, scaled-down version of his motorbike, christening it with the Super Club. It became what most people call an overnight success, earning him the Emperor's Award. Later, he began to export his bikes to European and American baby boomers. Following up in the 70s with the cars that have been so popular today, Honda Corporation employs over 2,000 people worldwide and is considered one of the biggest car-making empires in Japan, outselling all but Toyota in the United States. It succeeds because of one man who understood the power of a truly committed decision that is acted upon no matter what. Honda certainly knew that sometimes when you make a decision and take action, in short term, it may seem like it's not working, but in order to succeed, you must focus long term. Most of the challenges that we have in our personal lives, like overindulging constantly and overeating, drinking, or smoking, feeling overwhelmed, giving up on our dreams, comes from a short-term focus. Success and failure are not an overnight experience. It's every small decision that you make along the way which causes you to fail. It's failure to follow up, neglect to take action, failure to persist, neglecting to manage your mental and emotional states. It's failure to control what you focus on. Success is the result of making small decisions, deciding to hold yourself to a higher standard, deciding to contribute, deciding to feed your mind rather than allowing the environment to control it. What is keeping you from succeeding? What are the small decisions you need to make to be able to make an impact on your dreams? Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.